Not all literary agents are created equal, and not all of them have your best interests at heart. In today's video, we're going to discuss 5 types of bad literary agents that you should avoid on your journey in traditional publishing. And number 3 on the list might surprise you. Hi, I'm Jackie. I'm an author with an agent and a book deal, so if you're interested in following my journey and getting more tips for publishing, please subscribe. Number 1 on our list of bad literary agents to avoid is the amateur. Now, finding an agent who is new to the industry could be a really great thing for you. However, there are some caveats. A successful literary agent needs to have publishing connections. So if they are brand new to the industry, they should be at a successful agency where they're receiving mentorship. Ideally, you want a literary agent who has publishing experience, whether they're working at a well-known agency or perhaps have a past as an editor. This shows that they have connections they can use to help sell your book. However, I see literary agents who start their own independent agencies without ever having interned or worked at another agency or having a publishing background. And that to me is a massive red flag because this person has no experience and likely doesn't even know what they're doing. Anybody could call themselves a literary agent. I could start calling myself a literary agent tomorrow if I wanted to. So you need to make sure that this person is actually qualified. You can check to see if somebody's qualified by seeing what books they've sold. If they're new at an agency, look at books that other people at their agency have sold. And if you end up getting an offer from somebody who is a new agent, ask them what kind of mentorship they've received from others at their agency. But if you see someone who has started a brand spanking new agency without ever working in this industry before, then you're dealing with an amateur. This person may have good intentions, or maybe not, but do you really want to risk your career by signing yourself with somebody who has no qualifications to sell your book? I don't think so. Number 2 on my list of bad literary agent types to avoid is what I'm going to call the coward. Now, one thing about your literary agent is your literary agent should be your advocate, and they should be willing to initiate discussions on your behalf so that you can preserve your relationship with your future editor. Your agent should be willing to, quote unquote, be the bad guy. If you hate your cover design from your publisher, your agent should be willing to step in and say, hey, can we get some changes to this cover here? It's not right. If you and your editor are having a disagreement about your direction, or you get copy edits and the copy edits are just crazy, your agent should be willing to advocate for you and step into the situation because that's what they're there for. However, a coward agent is not willing to do that. They are going to prioritize preserving their relationship with the editor and not rocking the boat, rather than actually advocating for your best interests. When issues come up with your publisher or it's time to negotiate a contract, the coward agent will back off because they're scared of any forms of confrontation. If you have a problem or a concern, even a minor one, the coward agent will tell you to let it go and that it's not worth arguing about. And while it is true that not every single hill in publishing is something you want to die on, if every time you come to your agent with a concern and they tell you, no, I'm not going to do anything about it, that's a problem because that means that agent is not fulfilling their obligation to you. So that's why I think it's important when you have a call with an agent to ask them about a time they had to advocate for their client or how they navigate discussions like issues with editors, issues with cover design, etc. Also ask them how they handle contract negotiations because I would say very rarely, possibly never, should your agent just 100% accept the first offer that you receive from a publisher, because obviously a publisher is always going to make their first offer an offer that is extremely advantageous to them. And you want to be able to negotiate the terms and your rights a little bit to make it more advantageous for you. That's the whole point of having the agent. So if your agent is unwilling to go to bat for you in any circumstances, then they're really not worth the 15% that you're paying them. Now, number 3 is the one that might surprise you. Number 3 on my list is the shark. Now, let me explain, because a sharky agent can be good in some circumstances. but they can also be really, really bad. When people refer to an agent as a shark, that means that they're someone who is a hotshot in the industry, who makes a lot of big deals, and is just, generally speaking, ruthless. And this can be a good thing because if you have a big name agent, that agent could potentially get you a lot of money, a lot of interest. But here's the reason that I put the shark agent on this list, because there is a big difference between a shark agent who is sharky for their clients versus a shark agent who is sharky for themselves. I have heard many horror stories of authors who sign with big name agents, and once they go on submission, if their book doesn't sell within a couple of months, which is not a long time to be on submission, by the way, the agent will drop them, sometimes very suddenly and in an email. That's because there are some shark agents who are in this for the quick sell. And so if you don't sell your book extremely quickly, then they'll just treat you as disposable. They'll dump you, they won't care about your feelings, and you're out. Do you want a literary agent who's going to nurture a long-term relationship with you, who's going to support you if that first book doesn't sell? Because it is very common for authors to not sell their first book, to have a book that quote unquote dies on submission. Another thing to consider about signing with a shark agent is that, are you going to be afraid of your agent? Because this is something that I hear quite frequently from authors online, where they have this agent who really doesn't make a lot of time for them. And so whenever they have a question or are unsure about something, they're scared to reach out to the agent. They feel like they're quote unquote wasting the agent's time. And I do not think that you should be afraid of your agent. You should trust your agent and feel like you can go to them when you're struggling with something. So when you're deciding who's the right agent for you, really think about what kind of working style you respond to. Are you someone who does need a little more quote unquote hand holding? If so, you're going to hate working with a shark agent. It's going to make you miserable. Would you be okay talking to an assistant rather than your agent directly? Because a lot of big name agents have assistants, and their clients spend most of their time talking to the assistant rather than the agent themselves. Is that something that would bother you? Also, be mindful of the way that the agent communicates with you on the call and make sure they're not pressuring you into anything. I heard a story of one very successful agent who tells potential clients that if you choose to sign with that agent, they will charge you a 30% rate instead of the standard 15. It is a standard in the industry for your literary agent to get 15% of whatever you make. However, this agent wants double that because, quote, I'm worth it. Which is really ridiculous to me, to tell potential clients that you are twice as good as all other agents out there. That to me is just really ridiculous. Ultimately, sharky agents can be good. They can get you deals with big name publishers for a lot of money. They can get you interest from film and TV agents. But they can also be very brusque. They can be hard to get in touch with. And if your book doesn't sell right away, they may drop you as a hot potato because in their mind, there are so many more authors where you came from. So definitely consider your personal needs when you're debating whether or not to sign with a sharky agent, and also go in with your eyes wide open, recognizing that everything could go amazingly, or you could find yourself back in the querying trenches sooner rather than later. Now we're going to go on to bad literary agent type number 4, but remember, if you're finding this video helpful so far, make sure to give it a like. It lets me know what kind of content is resonating with my viewers. The 4th type of bad literary agents that I want to discuss today is what I am calling the ghost. In my opinion, communication is one of the most important things in the author and agent relationship. If you have a question, you should be able to email or call or text your agent and get a response at least in, let's say, the next few days to a week. When it is time to submit your book to editors, your agent should give you a list of the editors that they're going to submit to. And if you're somebody who does want to hear any specific feedback that you receive from editors, your agent should be willing to forward those requests or rejections to you. The ghost agent, however, doesn't do that. They don't respond to your emails. They don't tell you who they sent your manuscript to or when. They might even disappear for long stretches of time. I have seen posts online from authors who are so confused saying, I haven't heard from my literary agent in 6 months. I once saw a Reddit post from somebody who said that their agent hadn't responded to them for a year. A year! That is just absolutely unacceptable behavior. If you feel like you're constantly chasing your agent down for answers, then you're probably dealing with a ghost agent, and it's time to reconsider your relationship. Effective communication is key not only in the author-agent relationship, but any professional relationship. Imagine if there was somebody at work and you emailed them or Teams messaged them, asking them about a project you're working on together, and the person didn't respond to you for a month. I mean, you would think that's really unprofessional, right? So why would you hold your literary agent to a different standard? This is why I think it's very important where if you do get an offer from a literary agent, you ask them, on average, how long does it take you to respond to client emails? What is your reading time? How will we communicate when we're on sub? Because you want to make sure there's no red flag responses. And if you do ever find yourself in a situation where you're not hearing from your agent for long stretches of time, where you're asking them things and they're ignoring you, or they're sending your manuscript to people without your permission, it's time to go, because this agent is not a good agent. And the fifth type of bad literary agents that I want to discuss today is, of course, the scammer. This is the easiest type to spot, but it's also worth mentioning because I don't want anyone out there to be taken advantage of. If a literary agent ever asks you for money up front, it is 100% a scam. Any literary agent who is actually reputable will not ask you for money, because the way the industry works is literary agents get paid when you get paid. They get 15% of the money that you make. So if somebody is saying, oh, I charge a reading fee, or oh, if you work with me, you need to hire this editorial service, that's a scam. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Don't fall victim to these greedy people. To be frank with you, these types of literary agents actually disgust me because it is really predatory behavior. They are preying on nervous writers who really so badly want to succeed and feel desperate, trying to manipulate these vulnerable people into giving them money, and that is just absolutely abhorrent. It's awful. If anybody asks you for money up front, or you're on a call and something just feels off, trust your gut, because there are people out there who are looking to take advantage of you. And I know it's kind of a cliche at this point, but it is 100% true. It is better to have no literary agent than to have a bad literary agent. Do not sign a contract with someone unless you feel totally comfortable with it. If you have additional questions about these types of bad literary agents that I discussed, do drop them in the comment section, and make sure to hit the subscribe button so you will see my future videos on writing and traditional publishing. And if you want to watch another one of my videos, I recommend this one on the screen right here. Thank you so much for being here today. Stay safe out there, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.